Good morning, this is Jim Williams with the Hurricane City Tropical Update for July 23rd around 9:30 a.m. Here is the HurTrack program in motion showing Tropical Depression number 2. The forecast from the National Hurricane Center indicates this will head towards the Antilles later tonight and then pass through in the early morning hours near the island of Dominica, which is the current feature at Hurricane City. The system is expected to open up into an open wave or a remnant low as it passes the island of Dominica near Martinique and Guadeloupe in the early morning hours, giving them some gusty winds, some rainy weather, but this is not going to be a big deal for the islands. And this system is forecast to dissipate in the Caribbean Sea, so with wind shear and dry air, it's going to be virtually impossible for this system to survive. But we'll get to more images on this in just a second. The system is moving rather quickly, and oftentimes when you have systems moving quickly, they outrace the convection. The center of circulation gets out in front of the convection, and the system basically becomes a remnant low. Here is the steering flow, around 5 to 10,000 foot steering flow right near the surface. And this system is a weak system, so it's going to follow this flow right through the central Caribbean Antilles, probably splitting the goalpost between the Windward and the Leeward Islands, and it's going to do that rather quickly here coming up. So let's take a look at our system on the loops, and you can see the system is wrapped in dry air. Notice that green canopy, that's all dry substance that's surrounding this system, and our little tropical depression is right at the bottom of that green blob. And let's take a look at it, and there it is right there. That little blob right at the bottom of the screen is Tropical Depression number 2. And this system is, you can see in the last few frames, it's kind of breaking up a little bit too. That dry air is beginning to take its toll on the system. In fact, if you look at the scatterometer surface winds here, you can see that the ASCAT is indicating that there's not even any west winds down here. And again, we're looking at the depression right around 13.9 and 53 west, so right in here there's no west winds at all. It's just basically east-northeast winds here about 25 to 30 miles an hour. So this system is probably rapidly deteriorating at this hour, and it may not be a depression before the day is out, but we'll have to see about that. Big part of the problem also is, even though it's not in wind shear now, the system will be heading into wind shear in the Caribbean Sea. And not only is there going to be dry air, there's going to be a little bit more wind shear than what the system is currently dealing with. And the system is moving generally west, and it's heading directly into these westerly winds and southwesterly wind shear, which is going to pretty much do the system in as it gets into the eastern Caribbean. And again, the long-range track would take it somewhere in the vicinity of maybe Hispaniola, somewhere in this range over here where it's going to get washed out over the landmass. Long-range models indicate this could get up into the Bahamas or near South Florida, but there's probably not going to be much left of it by the time it gets into that area. Here's the wind shear tendency right now, and you notice the orange areas and yellow areas down in the Caribbean Sea are all increasing wind shear out in front of this system, so it's going to have a really hard time getting its act together. You know, I wanted to quickly talk about, take a quick inventory on the hurricane season so far. We had Arthur as a borderline category 2 go through the Outer Banks of North Carolina, so that's a hit on the North Carolina area, Outer Banks. And then we have TD number 2, and that's been it so far this season. Now, this is not typically an active part of the hurricane season. You have to wait about 30 days from now. When you get around mid-August is when you start seeing some of these Cape Verde systems coming off Africa and moving across the Atlantic and have a chance to become something significant. So we'll see what happens when that time comes around. But long range, look at the dry air out there. We have a lot of dry air. Orange indicated areas here is all sinking air. And these tropical waves are going to be suffocated as they come off the coast of Africa for at least the next several weeks. And we'll have to see if this pattern breaks. But look over here in Africa. I mean, there's hardly any convection at all back in here. And you'd like to see this moisten up a little bit before you start seeing these systems come out in the Atlantic and have a chance to develop. So with dry air over the land masses of Africa, we're not going to see any strong tropical waves for probably quite a while that are going to have a chance to develop out in the open Atlantic. Finally, here is our surface map from NOAA showing our system in about 72 hours from now, and the system will be as an open trough over Hispaniola somewhere over here in 72 hours, and it would be beginning that motion towards the northwest and north, but again, it'll be in an unfavorable environment for development. Again, our current feature is the island of Dominica in the Caribbean Sea. Let's take a look at the webcam from there, and there it is. See puffy white clouds, no rain yet. That'll be changing tonight as this webcam shot from, I believe this is from the northeast coast of the, I'm sorry, the northwest coast of the island of Dominica, and this system will be passing just south of the island here and moving into the Caribbean Sea. These cams can be found on the by clicking Dominica at Hurricane City next to the tracking map, and you can get all the cams, radars, radio feeds, everything from the affected area tonight as the system moves through tonight and tomorrow. Well, that's it for now. We'll have another update when the systems warrant in the Atlantic Basin, but this will be the last update on TD number 2 unless something changes dramatically. That's it for now. Thank you again for visiting Hurricane City.